We are back and ready to jump into our final segment, the time of game. The time of game is where gaming nostalgia meets the memories of everyday life. We add a question that jumps into a story of our guest past. And today, our guest of honor is someone who just finished eating an entire bag of salt and vinegar chips, Hirona.
Hi. Hiya.
Welcome to the show, milady.
How are you guys?
Fantastic.
I like the game you guys were talking about before. Kind of reminds me of what was that spooky game where you're like a reporter and you go to the asylum thing? Was it like Last of Us?
You mean Outlast?
Yeah, Outlast. Yeah.
Yeah. So I actually got those vibes from it. That's why I was petrified for the first 10 minutes, and then I realized I wasn't going to be threatened to be raped by any mutilated.
Yeah, I got to the point where like there's those two like twin dudes and they're standing there and you just see their giant dongs, and my chat's just like, this is totally normal, like
exactly
acceptable on my channel. And so I was like, I think we have to like hurry along now. And then they keep calling you and they're like, we're gonna put our dicks in you. And it's like, all right, we gotta go.
It's basically that, but no dicks in you.
Oh, well, it's not worth it.
That's the only good part.
Right.
Yeah.
So if you wouldn't mind introducing yourself to the viewers and talking about a little bit about your current events with your creative streaming.
Yeah. So I'm Hirona. Actually, I started out Twitch being a World of Warcraft streamer. And then when Twitch Creative kind of opened up, I made a very blunt transition into just trying to do creative streams. And it's either it's freelance work or designing t-shirts for myself or doing work for people on Twitch, or sometimes if I get contracted and there's like no NDA, like I'll design assets and we kind of just like hang out and talk shit to each other. And then
you're very good at that. You're
yes,
an excellent
yes.
shit talker.
Best shit talker.
Mm-hmm. That's so nice.
So
nice.
I'm so glad to have you with us. And our question to every guest we will have on this show is, what is your time of game?
So for me, and I know it's been a long time and I haven't actually played the current expansion, but it is World of Warcraft, the Burning Crusade. And that the whole world of Warcraft and that particular time in my life and what was going on and my transition to actually even being playing video games or specifically an MMO was really huge. When I first started, I was dating a guy, and I was dating a man. So at the time I was like steadily like getting laid, and someone was really, really interested in me, and he had expressed to me that he played World of Warcraft, and I was like, why? Like, do you think you're like a wizard or something? And he's like, no, it's more than that. And I'm just like, okay, fireball, like whatever, dude. I was really into, I play a lot of Halo and a lot of Counter-Strike, first-person shooter, telling kids that they're like adopted and like telling them that, their mistakes and all that kind of stuff on the internet.
Right.
But we had lived really far away. And at the time I had gotten diagnosed with cancer, and to kind of help me socialize a little bit because I wasn't going out. I worked Monday through Friday, and then I went to school from 6 to 1 o'clock, 12 o'clock. And then I got home at 1, and that was my day. That was just like my whole entire week. And since he lived far away, he was like, well, this is something that we can do together. And I'm just like,
cyber.
Yeah. And I'm like, okay, sure. So I come over to his place and I bring my laptop with me. That is actually the laptop that the school issued me because I was going to school to become an animator. And so we put World of War. I remember going to Walmart in the middle of the night, buying World of Warcraft and the expansion, the Burning Crusade, and I drove over to his house and we installed it. And I'm sitting there and I'm clicking through all the classes and the factions, and there's the Blood Elves, and they look, I guess at the time I'm like, wow, these things are like really slutty, and and I was like, this is great. And my boyfriend at the time had explained to me that like they were like the new race, and it was this big deal because Horde now had paladins, and he's like, you should play paladin. It's kind of up your, you could fight, you can heal, you can tank, you can do all this stuff. And I'm like, okay. And I thought that the paladins or the blood elf chicks just look like spank bank material because they're like, their boobs and butts are everywhere, and they're just all like.
Did you spank your bank to them?
No, but my plan was to become the blood elf and go into Orgrimmar because my boyfriend had told me that I could like dance for money, and if dudes found out that I was a chick, I could get gold. And then with gold, I could buy materials so I can like get other stuff. So I was like, I'm sold. God. I don't care. And I'm like, I'm going to have so many internet boyfriends. This is going to be great. And so when I came up with the name, yeah, well, at the time, my gaming handle was Violent Queef. And I was trying really hard, and I wanted the name. This is so bad, and so I was trying to come up with a new name. And Violent Queef was like my Halo competitive like name, and that name became from this other name, which is Chocolate Thunder Pussy, which is a name that I was like, this is really rad when I was 17, and so I wanted these names to be a part of my thing. But there was not enough characters for it, and I also didn't want to get banned. And I thought the Blood Elves looked like they're just like hentai. They're tentacle rape and all this stuff. So I looked up like a Japanese porn star, and there's this porn star named Hirona Ray. You guys can Google her, and she's got big old boobs.
I'm looking her up right
She
now.
does, yeah. Can we get like a background, like the background of like a browser, and you guys are just like, yeah, no, this is okay. She like takes it everywhere, and so I was like, this is perfect. Done. Enter the World of Warcraft. And it was great because the boyfriend and I were playing, and it was a thing for us to do. And actually, it really helped me because when I was getting into WoW, like I was extremely depressed. I was on a lot of medication for like pain and like nerve damage, and I was doing chemo, and it was really shitty and really intense. And like hanging out with my friends wasn't very fun. I was 20 at the time, and so I had to grow up right away because I was facing the reality that they were going to like amputate my arm. And at that time, because I was in college, I was $64,000 in debt for my bachelor's in animation. Wow. And I was facing the fact that I would have to drop out, and I would be in debt, and then I would also not have an arm and will never have my degree, and I'll do nothing. And I'm like, what the hell am I going to do with my life? And so going out and hanging out with my friends was really hard because they're like, oh, I got like super drunk and I got pregnant because I got drunk and like
had sex
with this dude. And I'm just like, I'm playing World of Warcraft, so that will never happen. And so like, there was just a lot of things that were going on with my friends where I'm just like, I'm not in this world anymore. And I liked the opportunity that WoW had, so I could kind of escape what I was dealing with. And like my guildmates and anybody that I met, like I could be whoever I wanted to be. Like they didn't have to know me for this kind of a thing. So it was a real escape from everything that was kind of going on. And like when things kind of like boiled down, and I was going to have like some of my surgeries to get it removed, like my guildmates were like, they became friends with me on Facebook. Like they text messaged me, like we would have calls. Like It was like this family of people. And I get that it's all on everybody's terms, but because it's on their terms to be involved in someone's life, you have to actually make that extra step. And so like, I met these people all around the world that like gave a shit about me and were like, it's not going to be that bad. We're still here for you. Like, we'll still give you a raid spot if you can't use your mouse. You'll just have to like stand in the fire and die, and then we'll just finish the rest of the raid boss. So
I have a question for you because I feel like video games have reached a lot of people because of the escapism that comes along with it. And I specifically, when I was younger, had, I wasn't facing any possible amputations, but I definitely gaming as a way to kind of invent myself, And so I'm curious, how was that for you as you were going through all of these, emotional trials in person? How did you reinvent yourself through gaming? What were you like in your everyday life, and what were you like as Hirona, the blood elf stripper?
So actually, I felt that I could be me, like me as in like who I really am online, more so than who I was and who I had to kind of become in my real life. Because in real life, like I had to cater to getting blood work done. I had to cater to my friends. All of a sudden now they're like, like they'll want to go out for a smoke break. And I'm like, all right, cool. So we're going to go out on the patio and hang out. And they're like, well, I'm uncomfortable with you sitting with us because you have cancer. And I'm like, that never stopped to you guys before. And shouldn't you guys not be smoking? Like I never smoked and like I got fucked over. So it's just, there was like this weird dance and like everyone started to treat me like I was super, super fragile and like that I was just this delicate thing. And the only way people started to relate to me was to tell me about like someone in their life who has it or is dying or has died. And I'm just like, okay, well, that's not all that's going on. So like online, only like some people really knew what was going on, but otherwise like I could talk shit however I want. I had these friendships and it wasn't warped by anything that was going on in my real life. So I got to be who I really wanted to be. It was like who I was never ended online.
Right.
Whereas like my real life, the page got turned and I was in a completely new chapter. And so I think that's another reason why, like, especially for streaming and, starting to stream World of Warcraft and having the community that I have, like everyone for the most part, my community knows, but it's not like a big deal and it's not a thing that defines who I am. Whereas like if I go home and I'm hanging out with people in real life, like the people I went to school with, so how is that? Like, are you getting checkups? Are you like, are you in remission or like, what's going on? Like, da, da, da. And it's like, no one cares. Everyone's like, oh, you got a new job. Like, that's awesome. Like, how is LA? Like, what's this and that? Like and that's why like, it kind of, it's a very pivotal thing in my life of doing World of Warcraft. And I've explained to people many times before, playing World of Warcraft and hanging out with those people and having that kind of community and like the guild and all of my friends that I have on there, like they saved me from making some decisions where I wouldn't be here anymore. Sure. And so like, it's a really, really big deal. And like games they have a way of like, you care and everybody else is there because they fucking care. And you can be whoever you want to be.
I have another question.
Okay. Was there a point that you remember where you decided like I would rather stay in and hang out with my WoW friends than go out and hang with these people? And like, do you remember that, like turning that corner?
Yes. So every Friday and Saturday night, there's a bar called The Rogue that's in Scottsdale, Arizona, and then there's a bar called Ohm, which is on like Central and 3rd in downtown Phoenix. And I was a part of this like social dance scene that's it's okay.
What does that mean?
Dancer.
Like kind of, so like my group of friends, like we would go out and these were like our places and people like they like knew us. And so like, but we would go out and we'd go dancing and that was like a thing. And it's not like line dancing. Like we just went to clubs and like we knew the bouncer and we knew the bartender, we knew the owner, or like someone's band would be playing. And like my whole life shifted where like I was too tired because of therapy to actually go out, and I couldn't drink anymore because if I drank, like I would get really, really sick and I would just have to go home or I'd be puking everywhere and they'd have to like drag me off and like put me in a car and they'd be like, okay, Kristen. And I didn't want to be anyone's burden. And so also I'm like, I could just stay home and like raid and I could do PvP. And when you play PvP, you could talk shit to people. And I'm so excited about like talking shit to people. And I suck. I'm not even that great at it, but I'm really good at talking shit or typing in like help tickets to Blizzard about like why stuff should be broken. But like I role play in every ticket that I've sent into Blizzard, why like my class is broken. I'd be like, Hirona rides up on her horse
Wow.
and looks down upon like the puny, Blizzard Entertainment community service manager.
No.
And and I'll type out these huge things of whatever, and I'll just like send it off. But like,
have they ever
it
responded to you?
it was like going out, but like I went out in Azeroth. Like it's so bad.
It's so good.
Girl, have you
So-
ever seen the basin? Ooh.
Yeah. Like go out in front of Duratar and just be like, who wants to duel? And then I get my ass beaten. I'm like, yeah, well, you're dumb and you're a virgin. I said way worse things than that, but
So all the friends that you made, did they give you the gold that you were searching for? Is that how you met them? From dancing and begging for gold, and then they became your real friends?
so there was a time where this boyfriend, I told him he came home and he's like, hey, you want to play WoW? And I'm like, I'm already playing WoW. And he's like, what are you doing? Like, this is like my 10th day playing. And he's like, what are you doing? And I'm like, I'm dancing. And he's like, where are you dancing? And I'm like, I'm on a mailbox in Orgrimmar. And he like shows up and he's playing a female character. And like he walks up and he's just like, and there's this guy that's standing there. And I'm like, this guy just gave me 5,000 gold, which at the time is like 1 trillion gold. And he's like, how did you get in that guild? And so there's this guy that was basically my sugar daddy. I like just by like I was just in there.
I know that game.
And this guy came and I'm just like dancing and I'm like typing in chat and I'm like, if you cheer at me, I'll take one piece of clothing off. And I took off my boots and then they're like, yeah, feet, that's totally what I'm into. And I'm like, yeah, they're sweaty. And like and it just kind of escalated. And this guy's like, you're really funny. Do you want to join my guild? And I go, yeah. I'm like, I'll join your guild. That's great. And so like I join and then he gives me 5K gold. And then my boyfriend logs on and he's like, what are you doing? And I'm like, honey, I made us money by being a prostitute. And like, and I think he was just kind of like, you shouldn't be playing this game without me because I think you're going to get yourself banned, or just like, I think he was like,
super jealous.
What are you doing? Like, you have a boyfriend. I'm like, yeah, but Hirona, the paladin, doesn't have a boyfriend, and this is it. Like, this is awesome. And
I paid for these boobies, and I'm going to use them.
Oh my god, yeah. And like,
it's so good.
Like, there was an addiction of just doing that, of just like trying to coerce people into stupid things or stupid conversations that really started to skyrocket. And I think it kind of made him a bit upset. Because he would just flat out be like, don't listen to her. She's like, this is the games that she plays and you're gonna regret all of it. And they're like, oh, haha. Until it kind of turned into this like joke thing. But like the guild we ended up getting in, like we raided with, like there's people that are in that guild that actually I just favorited a repost of a photo that's 11 years ago that I already liked 11 years ago. Wow. And it's a guildmate of mine that lives out in Canada, and like it was when he first met his wife, and it was like this big, and I'm just like, there's these people that I've known for like ever and I'm still friends with them. And so it's just, and they get it, and like they kind of joined in on the shenanigans and would try and like play female characters and try and get gold out of people, and it was fun.
Yeah. Well,
I've been down that road. I needed some extra gold on the side a few times, so
my side hustle.
to hop in.
I heard you say, "I know that life," and I was just
I know that life. I know that life.
Josh.
Before we move on, you said paladin. So were you retribution? We'll get real technical.
So,
Is her boyfriend?
My boyfriend was a priest. And he wanted to play Shadow, but as we were leveling at that time, it was hard to really like dual spec anything because there's no such thing as dual specking. Right. But also, like at the end, he wanted to be a Shadow priest, and I wanted to heal eventually because I wanted to have everyone's life in my hands and remind them of that. And then that's the instilling of the control where I'm just like, oh, whatever I want to do. And So when we leveled, I was retribution because he would be able to heal me enough so I could tank things and do damage. And that's what we did through. And then when I got, to level 60, I got all of my healing gear and had to figure out how to actually heal people, and like got all my add-ons and made macros and all sorts of crazy shit just so that we can go kick the shit out of shit on the internet.
The laying of the hands.
Taking the shit out of shit on the internet is one of my favorite pastimes.
Actually, so this new company that I work for, my boss, the creative director of my team, plays WoW. And we were at our Christmas dinner with the owner of this company, and there's like 30 other people in this room, and we're having steaks that are like $90 a plate. And like, it's this insane place. And this is my first day of work. Is after work, we went to this dinner thing, and my boss quiets everybody down and says, I want you guys to know that Kristen is internet famous. And I'm just like, oh my God.
No.
They know that I stream. And then he's like, but not only that, but she plays World of Warcraft. And he's like, Kristen, what was your main class? And I'm just like, there's people there that make so much money and are so important and do all this stuff. And it's my first day. And I'm just like, I'm going to find you on the internet and I'm going to kill you. Like daggers are at him. Like, we don't talk about this in front of everybody or like anything that's going on. And I tell him like, oh, I played a paladin. And he's like, we can't be friends anymore because he's Horde. And he thought that I played Alliance because there was only paladins on Alliance first with dwarves. Mm-hmm. And I was like, no, I started in the Burning Crusade and I played a blood elf. And he's like, why would you play a blood elf? So I told him this whole story that you guys are just hearing. And he just like, what the fuck? He's like, hear everything that's wrong with the internet. And I'm like, oh. I'm like, thanks. Like, he has like Horde symbols on his stuff in his office. And I'm just like, that's really nerdy. Like, I can't get into that kind of stuff.
Hirona, the woman that eats a bag of salt and vinegar chips and everything that's wrong with the internet.